guys, I'm Abby.
And I'm Keith.
Welcome to our 80s life, where we love all things 80s. And one of our favorite 80s movies is The Outsiders.
The Outsiders was filmed in Tulsa in 1982, and all the cast stayed here at the Doubletree Hotel, which back then was called the Excelsior Hotel.
And tonight, we're staying in Rob Lowe's room. Okay, welcome to the 6th floor. This is the hallowed halls where the cast and crew of The Outsiders stayed for about 10 weeks during filming here in Tulsa back in the 80s. And now, Keith presents Shenanigans of the 6th floor. So we're here in Tulsa for the weekend, and I told Keith we have to stay at the old Excelsior, which is now the Doubletree, because I want to stay in one of the rooms where the actors stayed during the Outsiders filming.
And so the rooms that we knew were Rob Lowe was in 605, Tom Cruise was in 607, and Matt Dillon was in 616.
Well, I picked Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Because I love Rob Lowe.
I love Rob. We're staying in Rob's room.
And I read his biography where he talks about staying here. And he gives lots of details about his time staying here, because it was like his first big break, his big movie. And so I was like, we have to stay in his room. That would be amazing. So we looked at the information we had from the Outsiders Museum, which states that he was in room 605. So guess what, you guys? We are staying in room 605. However,
we might have a little controversy.
There's a controversy. I remembered reading the chapter about the Outsiders and all the shenanigans that happened at this hotel, and it made me want to stay here. But when we got here, I looked at the chapter, and it says, I'm reading it, and it says, I got my room key, room 625. We're in 605. So now I'm like, oh shoot, are we in the wrong room? So I contacted our friend Michael from the Outsiders Museum and was like, Michael, we have a problem, because in the museum it says that he stayed in room 605, but in his book it says 625. Which one is accurate? So he wrote me right back and said his friend Dana is gonna call us here in a little bit, because she's the one that actually wrote down those numbers on the notepad in the museum. So we're about to hear from Dana to find out the truth. Hello, is this Dana? Yeah. Okay, you guys, we just got off the phone with Dana, and she is delightful. She's actually a docent at the Outsiders House Museum, which is really cool, and she was such a nice person. She was able to help us out, fill in some of the gaps of information that we were missing.
And she had a wild story. So they actually, her and her friend, booked a room at the hotel here. They were in 515, and they found out what room Rob Lowe is in. Now, they were really here to meet Matt Dillon and Leif Garrett, but their avenue to get to them turned out to be through Rob Lowe.
So Rob Lowe and Tom Cruise were relatively unknown at the time. They were new actors, so they didn't really know them, but they were like, they seemed nice or whatever, so they started hanging out with them to try to get close to Matt Dillon.
Well, and the way they hung out was she just picked up the phone from their room and called. She found out that Rob Lowe was in room 605, so she called room 605 and started talking to Rob, and then Rob invited her and her friend down to come hang out with them in 605.
Right, and so they came in here in this room, which she specifically remembered because she wrote it in her diary.
Yeah.
So of course we know the room number is right.
And she said when you walked in, the dresser was on the right, the beds were on the left. You know, Rob mentions room 625, but if you look at room 625, we'll go there in a minute, 625 would be opposite of that. So we're pretty sure that Rob was a little confused. It's been 40 years.
Yeah.
He might have, you know, got it wrong, but Dana wrote down in her diary that day the room numbers, so I think we're in the right place.
Yeah, so we have it all here.
Yeah.
And this is actually taken straight from the Outsiders Museum. So we're going with this.
Yep. All right, I'm really questioning whether Rob Lowe would have actually stayed in room 625, because if you notice here, here's the door to 625, and the room goes this way.
Right.
So if you would have walked into the room, the beds would have been on the right. But Dana clearly remembers that when she walked in, the beds were on the left. So, problem solved.
And also he had an adjoining room with another one of the actors from the show, and this adjoining room says authorized personnel only. Now it could have been a room back in the day, but it looks like a storage closet, not another room.
Nope.
All right, let's go check out Rob Lowe's room. Okay, it probably looks way different than it did back in the day in the 80s, but this was the room where Rob Lowe spent about 10 weeks or so filming. And from what we've been told, there are a lot of shenanigans that happened in this place. Not just in this room, but all around the 6th floor. But here we see the view. It's a beautiful view. It's a rainy day in Tulsa today, but this is the view that Rob would have had during filming. Story time with Abby. Here we go. The Tulsa Excelsior sits smack in the middle of downtown. This will be my home for the next 10 weeks. I head up to my room, which is very plain and simple. A desk, a small refrigerator, and 2 twin beds. But to me, it's the greatest setup I've ever seen. I'll be 18 in a week or so. For the first time, I have no guardian. This is a new sense of freedom. Power enough to knock me to my knees right here in room 625. Hey man, is that you? I recognize Tommy Howell's voice as he unlatches the door between our 2 adjoining rooms. Pony boy, are you there? Rob Lowe's bathtub, everybody. Rob Lowe's toilet. Okay, you guys. Keith is using Rob Lowe's shower. Babe, are you using Rob Lowe's shower?
I am using Rob Lowe's shower.
How is it?
It's wonderful.
It's luxurious. Good night, everybody.
From Rob Lowe's bed.